We will proceed with Congressman Steil. We'll get the questions ready to go.
I don't think you're the right fit for us anymore.
I am so disappointed in how you represent us as the citizens of Walworth County.
You just don't relate to most of us anymore, and you got to know when to step down. I think it's time.
Who here is excited that Bryan Steil finally had the balls to show up? It's about time.
My family, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great aunt, my great uncle, and all of their families were U.S. citizens, and they were interned during World War II. They were detained in the Japanese internment camps. My worry is that we are repeating history here.
Southeast Wisconsin has not been represented by you. President Trump seems to run Southeast Wisconsin through you.
People who are earning $200,000 and less are going to pay more in taxes. People who are making $1 million and more are getting big tax cuts.
I wear a pin. The pin says, it's not politics, it's morality. As a Christian, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a teacher, as a community member giving many hours of service, I care about people. And what I see happening to our immigrant population embarrasses me, horrifies me. And you have not raised a voice to complain about it. Where do I see your leadership? I see no leadership. I see following Trump 100% of the time, and Trump's lead has been...
We just agree to disagree.
Trump's lead has been horrible, hurting up people who were doing the right thing by going to the immigration office and using that as a trap to entrap them. And most all of these people have been, are undocumented. They wanted a better life for themselves, and they got caught.
So what is your question, ma'am?
Why is this happening, and why aren't you stopping it? And my specific question is, why are they wearing masks, and why are they unidentified?
We'll probably agree to disagree on some of my answer here. But what I view is the moral hazard created by the Biden administration by allowing the
Every resident has rights.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's right that masked people, unidentified, can swoop in to people who are undocumented but not necessarily illegal? In fact, statistics show again and again the people being deported and are now sent God knows where.
You've kind of asked a yes or no question without lecturing.
But I
Right along on the masking of ICE agents.
Do you think this is right?
I think our federal agents should be enforcing law. We just disagree on the point. It's okay. Would you like to disagree?
Hi, Bryan. I am a breast cancer survivor. Cuts to cancer research and prevention programs mean fewer clinical trials, fewer grants to discover new treatment options, and less access to life-saving early detection services. What will you do to ensure that proposed cuts by the administration to vital cancer research and prevention programs are rejected when Congress begins negotiating fiscal year 2026 funding? And how will you protect vital funding for cancer research and prevention programs in fiscal year 2026?
It's a great question.
My main concern is the tariffs that are coming up. I was always under the impression that Congress was responsible for issuing the tariff. I really feel that this is a terrible tax that's going to be placed upon the citizens of the United States. I would like to know what dire economic circumstances put Trump in a position of throwing tariffs on over 190 countries in this election. You have allowed him to do that, and it's sad, quite frankly. So tell me the dire circumstances that triggered his tariff wars. Thank you.
So this really, at its core, needs to be an opportunity to make sure that other countries are treating the United States fairly. The United States.
China is filling in where the United States is backing off.
Yes.
Executive overreach. Tell us what you're going to do about it.
Let me ask the gentleman who asked the question. Do you feel that was adequately answered?
The answer is no, you haven't answered. When we talk about our allies, it seems we're alienating them beyond belief. I have family in Canada. I have several friends in Canada, and I can't believe what we're not negotiating with them. But please explain to me what the dire emergency was that existed. And until I get that answer, I am going to be totally opposed to these tariffs, period.
Okay.
Our environment is fragile. The EPA is deregulating the standards that are in place.
We have never, ever had a concentration camp in Florida. Could you address how we got to that point?
That's a great question. So I wouldn't share your terminology, but I understand the facility you're discussing. And so what occurred was during the Biden administration was a massive influx of illegal immigrants into the United States. The woman deserves the right to be heard and have the conversation. So it's not that everybody needs to agree or disagree with the answer.
That's not my question. We never addressed, we had due process for people who were here trying to get citizenship. We never had a concentration camp, and that happened on your watch.
So
Thank you for hosting the town hall. We've been asking for one for a while, so I'm glad you're here. My original question was about ICE and the funding of ICE, but I think we've definitely covered that. So my question to you is, can you explain to us why you support Linda McMahon and the defunding of the Department of Education?
Great question.
I've lived in Wisconsin all my life. I receive your newsletter. As you can see, people have many concerns about what's happening in Congress. Zip codes not being a major concern. I see all of these things, and I'm wondering, we elected you, not your predecessor, not previous administrations. We elected you, and I would like to have 2 examples where you have voted on an issue representing Wisconsin and against the majority rule of the Republicans, where you stood up and did not just vote, I'm a Republican, yes. I want to know 2 examples where you voted your ethics. And I also want to say, I have written to you several times and I have never gotten a response.
I'm half Japanese, and truthfully, my entire life growing up, I've been mistaken for Hispanic. I honestly worry for my safety. My family, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great aunt, my great uncle, and all of their families were U.S. citizens, and they were interned during World War II. They were detained in the Japanese internment camps. My grandmother, who was an incredibly kind, loving woman who you would never know went through the trauma that she went through. She, in her last days of her life, I recall, was on morphine, having a hallucination, where she was screaming, "You're treating us like animals. How can you do this to us? We're Americans, we're people. How can you do this to us?" And she was reliving her experience being taken from her home. She was kept in a horse stall, a used horse stall, and she lived there for a month. And to compare this to current events, the Alien Enemies Act that was used to deport the people to El Salvador was also used prior to the Japanese internment camps. And then President Trump said, homegrowns are next, when he was speaking to the El Salvadorian president. And he used that act just before that act was enacted just before the executive order to detain anybody who was at least 1/16 Japanese, which would include my own children who are blonde-haired, blue-eyed. He is also trying to get rid of birthright citizenship. It worries me, having known my family's history of being detained and having everything taken from them. My worry is that we are repeating history here. A very dark moment in our history that personally, my family, I witnessed the trauma and the horrors that my family felt through their deathbeds. And I don't want anybody, immigrant or not, if they're not a criminal, being here illegally is a misdemeanor offense. Crossing our border illegally is a misdemeanor offense.
Yes. Yes. Bravo.
My question here is, I'm going to Chicago for work, and I'm out to happy hour, and I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, and some masked person without identification in plain clothes comes and tries to nab me because they're doing a raid, or even just a random person off the street who decided they're going to play ice for the day, decides to come grab me and throw me in a car because they think I'm Hispanic or an immigrant. I'm afraid for my own safety and my children's future for losing their own mother. And there are countless articles out there of American citizens that have been detained for months.
As we look at the engagement that law enforcement is doing now against individuals in the country illegally, I don't see the exact parallel that you're sharing. And the reason for that...
So a lot has been said about the Biden administration and open borders and whatever, but can you actually name any of his policies or decisions that impacted open borders or economics? Because what we saw was him and Jerome Powell doing a record-breaking landing after COVID. We had great GDP, inflation was down. I mean, things were pretty great in America before Trump.
So, great question. This is actually a really good question. Because if we go back a year, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not a border bill was needed. I was on radio shows with Tim Bremel taking questions on the topic.
I actually live right outside your hometown. I used to see your predecessor around town a lot. I have never seen you anywhere in Rock County. I'm not here to listen to you, and many of us aren't, because we know what you're going to say ahead of time.
Okay.
I would also like to... I'd like to remind you that you're a pretty rich boy who has never missed a meal, always had a nice place to live, had great jobs, made a lot of money, and I can't relate to that. You know, that's not a part of my life or most of us. But I have one question.
Still real close.
You talked a lot and said not very much. Alcatraz is a concentration camp. The difference between a prison or detention facility and a concentration camp is due process. Large numbers, large percentages of the people that they pick up and detain are mistaken identities, have committed no crimes, or are here legally. They are sent to those camps without ever having the ability. That's my question. Why do you support that? And then more specifically, the cost of it. Alligator Alcatraz will cost $450 million annually. Do you own any stock in the contractor companies? Because they are making a killing. Some of those contracts are no bid.
He can't hear the question, please.
Immigration detention is big, big business. And I also wonder if you're looking for various money market schemes, looking at that, because you talk a lot about that. Crypto. You would be well served to not blame another thing on Joe Biden because you are better served not to answer the questions, but to let people come up one by one and say what they want to. We would have a higher opinion of you if you did that.
But there is no discussion about the health care executives who have been fraudulently taking money from Medicare. Why is there no discussion about that? At least 5 or 6 or several of whom President Trump has pardoned. And these people owe billions of dollars that they fraudulently stolen from Medicare and Medicaid.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Bryan Steil's got to go!
This is a very scary time to live with rights being taken away. I want younger people to be able to live a life where they can feel safe. What's been happening in the world is not okay. And I'm tired of it. And I want to be able to make a change. Thank you.
We're not safe. We're going to fight back. You know, it's love one another. Really, that's what it is, no matter what.
The other thing is you enabled Elon Musk through Dodge to, when he was under investigation by at least 33 different agencies for fraudulent behavior, violations that he committed, all of those investigations have gone away, and yet he's walked away with all of our personal information, which none of us in this room, I'm sure, gave him permission to take our personal information and use it however he wants. The other thing is the administration has fired most of the IRS inspectors who have been investigating fraudulent behavior among wealthy people and corporations. And also shutting down the divisions in the IRS that are wanting to privatize Social Security, which would be putting more money in the hands of private money market managers. But there's no discussion about raising the cap on the $168,000 cap on people's claims. So what I'd like to know is what are you going to do about these kinds of...
Earlier today, you brought up the issue of Medicaid.
Yeah.
There's 70 million people in America on Medicaid. Everybody in this room knows someone on Medicaid.
For sure.
My question is, with 70 million people on Medicaid, why do you and some of your colleagues allow others of your colleagues to insult those people by suggesting that the majority of them are sitting at home in the evening and during the day playing video games? 67% of the people on Medicaid have jobs. 29% are either disabled, they're taking care of elderly at home, or they're in school. About 2%, according to your own figures, may be able to engage in productive work and are looking for work, the majority. So my question is very simple. What is your plan to cause the relatively small number of your colleagues who lie to the American public and malign the dignity of the 70 million people on Medicaid by suggesting that they are lazy game players? I'd like to know your plan. I would just be interested in how you as an individual react when your colleagues do that, because I've never heard you object to them in public.
Oh, I do. People have a right of free speech.
What do you have to say about that, Bryan Steil?
I have to say, shut up.
2 million people!
Whoa.
2 million people are starving! Do you have a heart? Do you have a heart? Show us your heart!
All right, we're a little bit over. I'm told we can take one more. So Nancy Frank from Elkhorn.
Bring us home, Nancy.
I'll be very quick. I want to have you address the question that was shouted about the starving children in Gaza.
let the woman get her question.
but also the hungry children in Wisconsin due to SNAP and food bank cuts.
To the first question that you asked, which relates to the challenges that we've seen between Hamas and Israel. To me, the easy answer to address this crisis is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages. That ends the war tomorrow. Israel was unfairly, unjustly attacked. Their civilians were killed and kidnapped by Hamas terrorists. Israel.
Again, can we please let her hear her answer?
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Can we please let her hear her answer?
I never Ukraine!
The gentlewoman has a right to hear the answer.
It's genocide! You believe in genocide? Genocide!
Resign now! Help us all!
Do something about it!
We may disagree with this, and that's fine.
Resign! Shut up! Who is resign?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight. We're going to close it off here because there's no point in continuing.
Well, let me leave it like this. I just, as it relates to your question, I'm of the view that Israel has a right to defend itself, and the easy and simplest way to end this horrific war is for Hamas to surrender and release their hostages. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Doesn't mean that everyone fully agrees with me. I know there's a lot of people that did agree with me. I thank you down here. As well, and look forward to seeing everybody again soon. Everybody have an absolutely wonderful night.